C.D. Kadhwane from K.K. Wagh Institute of Engineering Education Research, Nashik, Maharashtra State, India. In today's lecture, we are going to study design of connections and design of seated unstiffened connections. This is actually part of Unit 5, that is design of connections and design of plate girders. So let us start with the lecture outline of the today's lecture. First, we are going to discuss introduction of connection in steel structure, classification of connections, classification based on rigidity of connections, behavior of connections based on different types of fasteners or depending on rigidity of connection, different connection arrangement in steel structure, design steps for unstiffened seated connection, at the last, numerical on design of unstiffened seated connection. So let us first learn what are the different classification of connections. So first classification of connection is based on method of fastening or connecting devices, that is they are classified as riveted connection, bolted connection or welded connections. Similarly, connections are classified based on their rigidity and they are called as simple connection, rigid connection or semi-rigid connection. This simple connection is also called as a flexible connection. In this case, no moment is transferred, whereas in rigid connection, maximum moment and forces are transferred, whereas in semi-rigid connection, some moment and some forces are transferred together. Next classification is a joint resistance. So depending on or based on joint resistance, there are two types of connections. They are bearing connections and friction connections. Then depending on fabrication location, the connections are classified as shop connections or field connections. Next one is a joint location. So depending on joint location, the connections are classified as beam to column connection, beam to beam connection, and last is a column to foundation connection. So let us learn about classification based on joint rigidity. So first connection type is or classification is a rigid connection, that this connection develop full moment capacity of connecting members and retain original angle between the members under any joint rotation. Rotational moment of the joint will be very small in case of rigid joints. Whereas simple connections, no moment transfer is assumed between the connected parts and hence assumed as hinged or called as pinned. Rotational moment of the simple connection will be very large. So there is a large rotation of the simple or flexible connections. That's why they are called as flexible one. Next one is semi-rigid connection. This connection may not have sufficient rigidity to hold the original angles between the members and develop less than the full moment capacity of the connected members. In reality, all the connections in a steel structures or in all steel structure will be semi-rigid only. So let us study about the behavior of different types of connections or fasteners. Here there is comparison of behavior of different types of connections. This first graph is for ordinary structural bolt. This second graph shows the behavior of closed tolerant bolts. This dotted graph shows the behavior of high strength bolts in clear holes. Then this graph which is showing slip load at this point and suddenly goes down and again increases upward. This is the graph for preloaded friction bolts. And the last graph which is having more efficiency because it is resisting more joint forces and there is compared to less joint deformation, which is a welded joint. So depending on different types of bolts, there is a variation in resistance as well as joint deformation. So here when you think about ordinary bolts, they will slip initially and they will take a less joint force and there will be more joint rotation or deformation. When you talk about tolerance bolts, closed tolerance bolts in a fitted hole, then they will slip less. Suddenly their joint resistance will increase as compared to the joint deformation, but after this point their deformation increases as compared to the increase in the joint force. Whereas when you think about high strength bolt, then this high strength bolt also has an initial slip and they behave like this, just like a dotted line, but their resistance is higher as they are high strength bolts. It will be higher and then there will be joint rotation. Whereas you think about preloaded friction bolts, so these preloaded friction bolts starts working from origin. That means there will be no possibility of displacement initially. Suddenly this graph increases, that means joint resistance suddenly increases up to this point. After this point, as the joint slips, then the bearing of the bolts to the edges of the hole starts, and then it suddenly goes down, dips down, and again it increases its resistance and deformation also increases. But when you think about welded joint, its efficiency is higher. Joint resistance of the connection will be very higher as compared to the joint rotation. So rotation will be less and it will resist more load. So it is a more efficient connection. So welding will be considered as a more efficient fasteners for connecting the different members in a steel structure. Now these are the examples of rigid connections. Here these are examples of rigid connections. Column and the beam are connected by means of welding on either side of the beam wave, on the top of the flange, bottom of the flange. Similarly here column is connected again by means of beam, providing a plate in between them, and that plate is connected by means of bolt to the beam, and this complete plate is connected to the beam by means of weld. Here two columns are connected by splice plates. Similarly, this bracket connection is connected to the column by using a weld here. So all these are examples of a rigid connections. All are provided by welds. So length of weld is more in these connections. That's why they are called as a rigid connections. Or number of bolts are very large, then that connection also called as a rigid connection. Similarly, let us look at examples of pinned connection. Here column and beam are connected by means of a wave angle on either side of the beam, and they are connected by means of smaller number of bolts. Similarly here main beam and secondary beam are connected by means of a clit angle or wave angle, and again number of bolts are lesser. Similarly in this case column and beam are connected by means of seated angle at bottom and top. So again number of bolts are lesser. Therefore we can say that all these connections, as the number of bolts are lesser, they will behave as a pinned or a flexible connections. So these are a welded pin connection and these are welded pin connections. So whenever length of weld is small as compared to the joint force acting on the connection, then they are called as a welded connections, welded pinned or welded pinned. Now let us study about the design procedure of unstiffened seat connection. Actually, there are three types of connection. One is a framed connection, another is a unstiffened seat connection, and last one is stiffened seat connection. So framed connection is a connection where all bolts will be designed based on they are transferring the actual reaction or actual load coming from beam as a shear force. Whereas in design of unstiffened seat connection, the loads from the beams are transferred on a seated angle, and therefore seated angle is to be designed to transfer the load, and so therefore size of seated angle, that is this bottom angle, this angle provided below the beam is called a seat angle. Its a size, thickness, length of legs has to be designed based on the load to be transferred. So here in this connection, this is a seat angle, this is a clit angle. Here this clit angle is connected to the beam and column by means of bolts. Similarly, this seat angle is connected to the column, flange and a beam flange by means of a bolt. Here in another figure, here seat angle is shown. On the seat angle, reaction from the beam is acting on the length B1, that is the bearing length, whereas this inclined line which is drawn at 45 degree, which indicating the load taken by the wave of beam for this length B1 plus TF plus R1. This much length of the beam wave will take the load, but if actually the beam reaction will transfer to this much length. distance between the end of beam and between the flange of the column, this is called as gap. That is called gap is a clearance, that is called as C. So here B1 is the width of the seat angle, where our reaction R1 is transferred, or R is transferred from beam, whereas B2 is the cantilever span of a seat angle which will resist the bending moment coming on it. So therefore thickness of this angle based on the bending moment of this cantilever portion. Here TF is the thickness of flange, R1 is the root radius of a beam flange. So first step in design of this unsteep connection is selection of seat angle. So select a seat angle having length which is equal to width of the beam flange. So beam flange width is equal to length of the seat angle. Next is length of outstanding leg of seat angle. The outstanding leg length is calculated on the basis of wave crippling. So this outstanding leg length of this angle depends on wave crippling. So leg length should be greater than B, that is this much. So whenever you have to prevent crippling of this wave, so sufficient length of B is required to prevent wave crippling. Therefore this length is actually a B required, and therefore length of leg should be greater than this B. So there bearing length B is equal to R upon TW into gamma MO upon FYW, where R is a reaction from beam, TW is the thickness of wave of beam, FYW yield strength of the wave, gamma MO is a partial shift vector which is taken as 1.1. So a dispersion of 45 degrees is taken from the bearing on the seat, to the root line. So let us go back and let us see here at from this point, this 45 degree line is drawn which is cutting to the root radius line, and this width which is TF plus R1, because this height is TF plus R1, therefore this is TF plus R1. So total bearing length is B1, total length of the wave B1 plus TF plus R1 is transferring the reaction from the beam to the seat angle. So therefore this length of bearing on the seat we have to find out. So that is B1. B1 is equal to B minus TF plus R1, where TF is the thickness of beam flange, R1 is the root radius of beam flange. The distance between the end of bearing on seat, to the root of angle, that is B2. So what is B2? Let us look at it again. So B2 is distance between this bearing B1, end of this bearing B1, and this root radius of the horizontal leg of the seat angle. So here, so this is a cantilever portion which will bend downward, and this cantilever portion, due to this cantilever portion, whatever bending moment is acting will be maximum here. So thickness of this seat angle is decided by the span length or cantilever length of this up to this point up to which it is acting, and the width of the angle. So therefore B2 is equal to B1 plus C minus TA plus RA, where TA is equal to thickness of angle. So RA here is root radius of angle, C is equal to clearance and tolerance. Now next step is selection of a connected leg. Connected leg of a seat angle is such that at least two horizontal rows of bolts can be accommodated. Hence, assumed angle should have a leg length 100 mm or more if our bolt diameter is 16 or 18 mm. Sometimes if the diameter is 20 mm, you can provide this leg length of 120 or 150 also. Thickness, next is thickness of seat angle. The reaction R from beam is assumed to be uniformly distributed over a bearing length B1. Here this reaction R from beam is distributed over length of B1. That means if you want to find out UDL of this load, uniformly distributed load, that will be small w is equal to R upon B1. So the thickness of seat angle is so chosen that the outstanding leg does not fail in bending on a section at toe of the fillet. this is the section at toe of fillet that is called as a critical section. This section is a critical, this is a cantilever portion. So therefore bending moment of UDL, which is R upon P1 about the critical section XX, that is toe of fillet, which is shown here by arrow, toe of fillet. So therefore bending moment M is equal to R upon B1, which is UDL, into length of the beam B2 as a cantilever into B2 by 2. So this will give you actual bending moment acting due to this cantilever UDL portion about the critical section XX. Now let us find out the moment capacity of angle leg. So angle leg we already selected, length of angle leg is selected, and thickness of angle is known to us. So let us verify whether this length of angle as well as thickness of angle is sufficient to resist this external bending moment or not. Therefore moment capacity of angle leg MD is equal to 1.2 ZE Fy upon gamma mu. If you minutely observe this formula, you will find that for semi-supported beam this formula is 1.5 into ZE into Fy upon gamma mu, whereas for cantilever portion it is 1.2 ZE into Fy upon gamma mu, where ZE is equal to section modulus of an angle leg providing bearing, that is the outstanding leg, that is this leg. Now in this case, if MD is less than actual bending moment coming on the angle section, then the section is to be revised, that means thickness or angle is to be increased. But if MD is greater than actual bending moment, then there is no need to revise the section. Section is a safe, sometimes it may be over safe. Next step is the shear capacity of the outstanding leg. So we have found out bending moment capacity of angle leg, whether it is safe or not, that we have seen in the previous section. Then we will see what is the maximum shear carrying capacity of outstanding leg. So VDP is equal to B into TA into Fy upon root 3 into gamma mu, and this complete VDP, that is shear capacity, should be greater than actual reaction coming from the beam on the seat of this angle or outstanding leg of the angle. So here B is again length of the angle, or it is also equal to, is also taken as flange width of supporting flange. It is also taken as flange width of a column. Actually this is flange width of a support, sorry, this is also taken as length of the angle or flange width of supporting beam. Now next part of design is design of connection. Design of connection between the seat angle and cleat angle to the beam and the flange of column. But actually more care is to be taken, the bolts to be connected to the seat angle, vertical leg and the flange of a column. Therefore first assume bolt diameter and find strength of bolt. So strength of bolt, you know very well, strength of bolt is found in two ways. First is find strength of bolt in shearing, find strength of bolt in bearing. Out of these two strengths, consider minimum strength as the strength of bolt. After finding strength of the bolt, you have to find out number of bolt, and number of bolts equal to end reaction divided by strength of bolt. So the outstanding leg of the seat angle is connected to the beam flange with two bolts of the same diameter as provided on the angle leg connected with the column flange. Next we have to select a cleat angle. A cleat angle of nominal size is provided on the top flange of the beam, connected by two bolts on each of its legs. So this is about the design steps of unstiffened seat connection. In next lecture we are going to learn how to design a unstiffened seat connection by following these theoretical concepts learned in this lecture as well as design steps we have studied in this lecture. So let us study that part in the next lecture. For the time being, thank you very much for listening this lecture on design of unstiffened seat connection. Thank you once again. Take care of yourself, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.